1 week down of the high school football playoffs, and round two is on deck. We'll talk about it next on Prep Rally.
You're watching the Prep Rally Podcast.
Welcome to the Prep Rally Podcast, sponsored by West Termite Pest and Lawn. Graham Thomas and Rick Fires here in beautiful Northwest Arkansas. Leland Barclay is down in the River Valley, where it's also very beautiful. And gentlemen, we're through the opening round of the high school playoffs. It gets a little more exciting this week as half the teams that are left will be eliminated after this week's games. Ricky Fires, what say you, man?
Man, you know what? It's a beautiful fall day here in Northwest Arkansas. We still got some great football, even better football, because some of the teams that drew first-round byes are now they're going to have to get involved. We had some lopsided games. Some teams that didn't have winning record, they're out, most of them. So let's go. This is going to be a really good second round.
Leland, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. I'm ready to go.
Yep, I am too. And gentlemen, there is absolutely no time to waste. We've got a lot to get to this morning, so let's get to it. It's a Gimme 5 time in the River Valley. Leland Barclay, take it away.
These are the top 5 performances of the last week in the River Valley playoff style. Number 1, we always start with the River Valley Democrat players of the week this week. The duo of Van Buren running back Cameron Keller and receiver Trenton Cooley. That would be the record-breaking duo. Last week in a playoff win at Marion, 29-26, Van Buren won. Cameron Keller rushed 35 times for 197 yards and 2 touchdowns to become the all-time leading rusher in Van Buren history. Trenton Cooley caught 4 passes for 100 yards and an 84-yard touchdown on a bomb from quarterback Jaden Williford, also setting an all-time record at Van Buren for reception. So a great performance by them, of course. And as we all know, it's always a team effort. It's, you know, we kind of break out certain players and things, but a team effort. Van Buren's defense was tremendous, holding Marion's high-powered offense to 26 points. And then Elijah Johnson on his birthday caught the game-winning touchdown with 53 seconds left from 16 yards out. Number 2.
And you called
Charleston,
that one. I'll have to say that, Leland. You called that upset.
Well, the West has been very good against the East in recent years, and you know, Van Buren went across the state last year at West Memphis and also won a playoff game. This one was a little similar. The West Memphis game last year, they pretty much led from start to finish. This one, they had a big second quarter when Cameron Keller scored twice. Trenton Cooley caught his big touchdown pass and went up 20-7. But then late in the game, Marion took a 26-22 lead before Van Buren came back, got a good kickoff return, and then scored the game winner with less than a minute to go.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, Carter Little in Charleston's 66-35 win over Melbourne was 24 of 34 for 317 yards and 5 touchdowns. And Gerard Smithson added 245 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground as Charleston romped to their first-round win. Number 3, Samuel Burton, the Burton that doesn't get quite as much publicity as the others maybe, rushed 10 times for 103 yards for his first 100-yard rushing performance of the season with a touchdown. He also caught a 54-yard touchdown pass from quarterback Jeremy Strozier in the first quarter. He also recovered a kickoff in the second half to start the second half. It wasn't really an onside kick, but it was a short kick. He recovered it. Mansfield went on to score 2 times in a row to enforce the mercy rule in the big win. And, of course, he joined Daniel Burton and Andrew Burton to rush for the trio rushed for 300 yards in that first round 42-7 win over Paris.
Burton, and lots more Burtons coming.
As we pointed out in Sunday's paper, the 1-2-3 punch of the Burtons. And then number 4, Rhett Needert, running back for Boonville, needed only 4 carries to notch 148 yards on the ground. He also scored a touchdown. In the first quarter alone, Boonville had 263 yards of offense and led 28-0 on the way to a 48-7 win over Magnet Cove. Altogether, the Bearcats rushed 37 times for 572 yards in the win. And then number 5, for the first time this year, we mentioned a kicker. Place kicker Brian Castor of Salisaw kicked 3 extra points, including the decisive point in overtime, and also added 2 field goals from 34 and 39 yards out, including the 39-yard one late in the game with 50 seconds left to send that game into overtime in a 27-26 win over Grove. Plus, over in Pecola, A.J. Lyons-Jarrell of Pecola rushed for 127 yards on 13 carries for 2 touchdowns, including a 66-yard touchdown run. He also caught a touchdown pass and added a 2-point run in a 52-14 win over Cockawa.
One more thing about that Salisaw game, they got the stop in overtime to seal the win. So what an exciting game that was for the Black.
Well, and just before that, Salisaw blocked. Grove had scored to crack a 20-20 tie, and they blocked the extra point late in regulation, which obviously allowed, it would have been 26, or no, it would have been 20-17. And then Salisaw was able to come down and kick the 39-yard field goal to tie it and send it into overtime 20-20.
Hey, Leland, I want to go back to the Van Buren kid. You said it broke the rushing record. Okay, that's got to be pretty impressive because I remember Ralph Stockemeyer, is that his name, played at Baylor, had a real great career down there. Was that correct?
Yeah, he had a good career. Howard Simmons is the one that held the previous record. He was on that team that went to the championship game in 1990 and then also led them to the playoffs in the first year in 1991, in Van Buren's first year in the state's largest classification. So that's a record that stood for 33 years.
Wow, that's impressive.
I tell you what, really happy for those kids. That's a couple of years in a row now. They've had a tough road trip to have to start off the playoffs and gone out there and taken care of business. That's great work by the Van Buren Pointers. All right, well, that leads us into our River Valley report. And Leland, another exciting week of things happening in the River Valley.
Absolutely. Of course, we had 6 winners on Friday night, including the 4 from Arkansas, the 2 from Oklahoma. Now Greenwood, like Rick alluded to earlier, the big boys get involved this week in the 7A and 6A playoffs, and Greenwood got that first round bye, so they jump into the action this week. And out of those 7 teams that are still playing down here, we have 3 big road trips for 3 of those teams. Charleston has to travel to Osceola, a long trip. Salisaw has to go to Elgin, which is southwest of Oklahoma City, another long trip, about 3 hours for them. And now, class, if you'll get out your geography books, turn to your section on Oklahoma. Hooker, Pecola travels to Hooker, Oklahoma on Friday night. Hooker is almost in New Mexico. It is 456 miles, a 7-hour trip. Pecola can go from Pecola, which is located on the state line of Arkansas. It butts up against Hackett School District. It also butts up against Greenwood School District. There are 12 states that you can go to from Pecola sooner than you can go to Hooker, Oklahoma.
Better leave now, guys. It's a long trip.
That's a long trip. And then in cross country, Rhett Moss of Southside finished 13th on Saturday in the Arkansas-Oklahoma All-Star Cross Country Meet to help Arkansas win the boys' portion of that challenge between the 2 states.
Wow. Hey, true
and
story.
I know it's hard.
Go ahead.
And I know it's still early in basketball season, but we've already had 2 milestones set. Alma's Jordan Gramlich has already hit the 1,000-point mark, and then Mulberry's Jackson Keeling has also hit the 1,000-point mark. So 2 milestones already reached early in this basketball season.
Nice little story in the River Valley Democrat-Gazette this week on Keeling and the Mulberry team off to a really good start. Kevin Taylor had that one for us. Hey, I was going to tell you, Rick, true story, I have never been to New Mexico. So I could get on the bus with Picola and be right there close to New Mexico on the way to Hooker.
We'll book you a trip. Take you down. I'll take you down to the Greyhound bus station this afternoon if you need me to.
I know you would.
Babe Urine said they got in about 3:30 from Marion on Friday night. The sun may be coming up by the time Picola gets home on Saturday morning.
You know, but if they go over there and get a win, what a happy trip that will be.
Hey, did they cross the bridge and?
Especially since that's going. If they can win, that would be their first time ever for Picola to win 2 playoff games in a season.
Did Van Buren celebrate their win going all the way to Marion by crossing the bridge and going to Rendezvous to eat some ribs? Tell me that happened.
I don't think the team did, but I know a lot of the parents did.
Yeah, I've been right with them too. Love that place.
Rendezvous open late too, isn't it, Rick?
Yes, I've been there and early and late.
All right. Well, we're going to take a break. As we go to break, we'll leave you with some video from football and from playoff football in the River Valley this week. This is Prep Rally.
Here come your Let's Go Tigers! That ball carried to number 23, Daniel Benton in the end zone. That ball carried to number 10, Andrew Benton in the end zone. Touchdown Tigers!
And we're back with the Prep Rally podcast, sponsored by West Termite, Pest and Lawn. Graham Thomas and Rick Fires here in Northwest Arkansas, and Leland Barclay joins us in the River Valley. It is time for the Northwest Arkansas Top 5, starring the great Ricky Fires. Ricky, take it away.
You know, we got to start with our Northwest Arkansas Democrat-Gazette Player of the Week, Talon Williams from Gentry, who had been injured. He's missed a couple games, but you know what? Playoff time, these big-time players want to be involved. Talon Williams threw 6 touchdown passes to 5 different receivers. The Gentry went all the way down to DeWitt, returned home with a 42-41 victory over the Dragons. Williams, completed 15-24 passes for 403 yards, and he made his best plays late. DeWitt was still ahead with 46 seconds to go. Williams led them downfield through a 21-yard pass to Ezekiel Strong, and then they went for 2 points. The 2 connected again on the 2-point conversion pass, and that put Pioneers up ahead to stay for good, 42-41. Here is one of those lopsided first-round games. Rogers 35, Little Rock Southwest 0. A guy we've been talking about all year long, Jeff Reagan, 178-yard passing, a touchdown, 10 rushes, 66 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Another great game by Jeff. We've been talking about him a lot. And also a guy who's really emerged on the scene this year, Braxton Lindsey, a big-time wide receiver, 4 catches, 121 yards receiving. Let's drop down to Farmington. Here's one of the better first-round games. Farmington 28-26 over BB. Quarterback Aiden Lester threw for 117 yards passing, touchdown. He also ran 18 times for 19 yards. And his running buddy, Russell Hodge from Farmington, 19 carries, 110 yards rushing, and a touchdown. So those 2 guys right there have been doing a real good job for Farmington, and they're still in it. They advance. Prairie Grove goes all the way over to the land of the Jackrabbits. And if you're asking where's that at, that's Lonoke, Arkansas, USA. Prairie Grove 37, Lonoke 33. Elijah Suggs for Prairie Grove, 31 carries, 202 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. You know, they run the ball a lot, but Elijah can't do it all himself. So Blake Cochran, their other running back, 16 rushes, 102 yards on the night, and 2 touchdowns. So there's a good road win to start the playoffs for Prairie Grove Tigers. Now, Hamburg came all the way from deep southeast Arkansas to beat Gravett. But we got to give credit to Gabe Holmes, a player who had been injured. I think he missed the big time game when they was playing Gentry. But Gabe Holmes came back from the injury, 19 rushes, 133 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns for Gravett, which really had a great season. Even though when you get beat in the playoffs, you're really not a loser. Your season just ends with the loss. They had a great year. Congratulations to the Gravett Lions and Gabe Holmes for coming back off a victory and injury and helping Gravett.
All right, well, that leads us into our Northwest Arkansas sports report, and we're kind of the more of the same, with the football guys. I know we've got basketball going and swimming and diving. I will mention, we had a great signing week last week and great coverage in the Northwest Arkansas Democrat-Gazette and in the River Valley Democrat-Gazette. Lots and lots of kids, signed letters of intent to go play at the next level, and we were all over the place. I know, Rick, you were at Farmington. You were
Lincoln.
at Lincoln.
Yep.
I was at Bentonville. I was at Harbor. Leland, you were everywhere. I think Northside. Just a great. I'm glad we still have those because you feel like with the changing dynamics in college athletics, I've heard that those kind of signings and letters of intent may end up going away one day because with the ever changing landscape. So. Glad we got to have another round of those.
That's always fun. You see the kids have worked, and their parents, too. I love to see the look on their parents because they've helped these kids. They've travel ball or just getting them to practice and back. And for that to culminate by them to get an opportunity to play in college somewhere, regardless of D1 or D3 or what NIAA, whatever that is, but just a great day for them kids. We were busy all over the place, but it's all worth it to see the kids and their parents.
Now, all that being said, we do have some football games up here this week, so there's
Yes.
plenty to choose from. Still in Northwest Arkansas, Elkins is hosting Mena. Farmington, as you said, is hosting Camden Fairview. Shiloh Christian, they were off last week. They're going to host Van Buren. The Battle of Bentonville Part 2. Bentonville West is playing at Bentonville. Bentonville West had a great win, by the way, at Little Rock Christian. They had 2 fumble returns for a touchdown and an interception return for a touchdown and beat Little Rock Christian at Little Rock Christian. Mm-hmm. And then the biggest game, in my opinion, up here this week is going to be Pulaski Academy at Fayetteville. What a shootout that's going to be. I tell you, there may be 80 to 85 passes thrown in that game. It'll be interesting. I just hope that we can meet our deadline. Rick.
Yeah, I'll just say we're going to back it up 3 hours. Probably not.
I hope so. Maybe we could bargain for them to start it at like 4 o'clock.
4
there you
o'clock
go. Start and let the student body be there. It'd be a lot of fun. So, it's playoff time and I just can't. There's more. We could talk basketball, Rick, but I'm ready to get on some picks.
Yep.
We're going to pick every one of these games of our area
Woo-hoo.
teams this week. So we're going to take a break. We'll leave you with some video from the best football games in Northwest Arkansas this past week. And when we come back, we'll get into who you got. This is Prep Rally.
Touchdown.
There you
He's still too late.
Touchdown.
All right, we're back with the Prep Rally podcast, sponsored by West Termite Pest and Lawn. Graham Thomas, Rick Fires, Leland Barclay, the three amigos who join you every week. And guys, it's time for who you got. We're going to pick all 12 of our area teams from the 12 county area that serves the River Valley Democrat-Gazette, Northwest Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. So
I got a chance to go 12-0 or 0-12.
If you go 12-0, lunch is on me next week. Except I'll be out of town, so you have to come find me in Mississippi. So, just a quick glance at the standings. Looks like both Rick and I went 5-3 this past week. Rick is still in the lead, 2-game lead. Leland did catch a game on us. He went 6-2. That Van Buren one really helped him last week.
Yep.
So he's still sitting there ready to come get us. So we will get started with who you got. We're going to start in Class 3A. What a big one to start off with. But man, it'd be a fun game to be at. Newport, the Greyhounds, the lightning fast Greyhounds at Mansfield. Rick Fires, who you got?
Man, you just set it up perfectly. I've covered games at Newport. I've seen the Greyhound speed. I like Mansfield a lot, but man, I think the Newport Greyhound's going to be a little bit too fast for them. Instead of going 20 yards, they're going to go 80 yards on Mansfield. So I got Newport.
I'm going against you.
Okay.
Because the Mansfield story's just got to keep on for 1 week. I'm going to take Mansfield. I know Newport's fast. Mansfield, I like the band of brothers, this fighting strong 20s. So I've got Mansfield. Leland, who you got?
Well, Mansfield has natural grass, and from what I understand, Coach Frank Vines is bringing his lawn care crew in to help with field preparation, to maybe help slow Newport down a little bit on Friday night. And Rick, you're right. Newport's a fantastic team. They benefited from a couple of players that moved back to the area or moved to the area. Of course, DeAndre Barker is considered the top running back in the state. His adventures the last couple of years has been an adventure, but he is back at Newport. Armani Wynn is actually one of the top receivers in the state. He was enrolled at Greenwood for about a week and a half before he moved back to Newport. And all that being said, I still think Mansfield at home keeps that Tiger train rolling, and Mansfield wins.
All right. Moving right along, we're going to stay in Class 3A. Mayflower at Boonville. Man, it's hard to really pick against the Boonville Bearcats, so forget it. I'm going Boonville. Rick Fires, who you got?
You know what? They can turn that Mayflower ship back around after that, because Boonville's going to take them pretty well.
Leland, real quick, who you got?
Boonville in the playoffs. There's just something about Boonville in the playoffs. Boonville all the way.
All right. We've already talked about this one a little bit. Charleston at Osceola. Coach Ricky May ought to go ahead and get the bus started. It's a long ways away. Osceola Seminoles. What a great atmosphere. I'm sure that will be over there. Class 3A playoff game. I'd give me the Osceola Seminoles to take care of Charleston. Rick Fires, who you got?
I think Charleston can go over there across the state and beat them. I think Charleston wins this game.
Leland, who you got?
I'm going with the 3A1 sweep, 3-0 for the conference. Charleston wins at Osceola.
Now, they could also go stop by Rendezvous. They'd be a little bit of a detour, but just, take I-55 south down into Memphis.
They could do that.
Rendezvous's open late. So, and boy, I love those Rendezvous ribs. We just talked about Talon Williams and Gentry. Gentry at Arkadelphia. Boy, I tell you what, the Gentry story has been a great story all year. I'm happy they got that playoff win, but they're not going to go and beat Arkadelphia. So I'll take the Arkadelphia Badgers. Leland, who you got in this one?
You're right. Gentry's a great story. I'm glad Talon Williams came back, finished his year out healthy, but it also ends on Friday night. Arkadelphia is just too tough a matchup.
Rick Fires, who you got?
This is where the story ends for Gentry, Arkadelphia.
Really good Arkadelphia football team. They've ended a lot of people's seasons over the years. Another really interesting story over the year, Class 4A, Mena. They've had a really good year. They've got to go to Elkins, though, and this is where their story ends. Give me Elkins in Class 4A to beat Mena. Rick Fires, who you got?
Elkins.
I knew you'd say that. Leland, where you go on this one?
Mena has no superstars. You probably can't even name a player on their team. No big superstars. Great story. And I think this game will be much closer than what maybe everybody expects, but I do think Elkins wins.
We are our last game to pick in Class 4A is going to be Prairie Grove at Dardanelle. Ironically, two teams that were in Class 5A last year. We know about Creed Vega, Apollo Creed Vega. I didn't realize his dad was the coach at Dardanelle. Yeah. He's a great player. Prairie Grove's got their work cut out for him, but they've handled Dardanelle the last few years. So You know what? Give me Prairie Grove to keep this thing going. Prairie Grove wins at Dardanelle. Rick, who you got?
Yeah, I'm the same thing. I looked at the scores last couple of years when they playing in 5A. Prairie Grove beat them. I know Dardanelle's highly regarded, but give me the Tigers.
Leland, where are you going with this one? Who you got?
This is interesting because, Prairie Grove assistant coach Max Washhausen tweeted something this week. They're completing about 70% of their 2-point conversions. And boy, if you can score 8 at a time, I'm going to go with Prairie Grove with the mild upset at Dardanelle.
All right. We're all going Prairie Grove there, so apologies in advance on that one. Oh, boy, this is a rematch from an opening round game last year. Camden Fairview at Farmington. Farmington really took it on the chin last year against Camden Fairview. I don't know if that's the case this year. I think that things have changed a little bit. Farmington's on a roll. I'm going to take the Farmington Cardinals to take care of the Camden Fairview Cardinals. Leland, who you got?
I tell you, I just think Camden Fairview. I think this proves how good the South is. Going 3-1 last week, and I think Camden Fairview goes to Farmington and wins.
Rick, who you got?
Same way. I got Camden Fairview, a lot of speed.
Well, Tommy Tice is going to be disappointed in you guys. He's gonna post that all over and play it over and over.
I've had people disappointing me my whole life.
I will probably get a phone call from him after this.
All right, we're moving up to Class 6A, Van Buren at Shiloh Christian. Van Buren, another great story, great playoff win. Can they do it again this week?
No.
I'm going to say no, they can't. Rick's already given away his pick.
Yeah.
I'll take the Shiloh Christian Saints to take care of Van Buren for a second time.
Shiloh.
Rick, who you got?
Shiloh Christian.
Yep. Leland, who are you going with there?
The Saints finished second in the conference for a reason. Now, one little caveat in this. Brenton Cooley didn't play in that game 2 weeks ago against Shiloh Christian, but I don't know if he can make up that much of a difference or not. I think Shiloh Christian advances.
All right, Class 6A, El Dorado at Greenwood. This is a place where El Dorado has won before in the playoffs, but it didn't happen this time. Give me Greenwood. Greenwood over El Dorado and possibly really big. Rick, who you got?
I got Greenwood.
And Leland, who you got?
Greenwood's won 68 straight games at home. The last team to beat them there was El Dorado.
Wow.
But to borrow a song from The Who, they won't get fooled again. Greenwood rolls.
Class 7A, another rematch of a Week 10 game, Bentonville West at Bentonville. We talked about Bentonville West having a great win last week at Little Rock Christian. But the story ends, I think, for the Wolverines this week. I'm taking Bentonville to beat Bentonville West. Leland, who you got?
And, we've talked all this segment about great stories and great first-round wins for a lot of these teams. It ends for Bentonville West on Friday night. But how great is that it's going to be a Bentonville and West matchup in the second round of the playoffs? Bentonville, again, is the conference champ for a reason. They advance.
All right. Class 7A, the Rogers Mounties heading to Conway. Grayson is going to play in this game, and that's big news for Conway, bad news for Rogers. We've really enjoyed Rogers. I think it could be a shootout. I just don't know that they can go win at Conway. I'm going to take the Wampus Cats to win over the Rogers Mounties. Rick, who you got?
Coach Harbison and Rogers talk about, man, we're making progress, but we can't get over the hump. This would get them over the hump, but it's not happening. I got Conway.
Leland, you've been high on Rogers all year too. I know you like their team, what they can do. Can they win at Conway? Who you got?
I especially like them defensively. Their front seven, I think, is just tremendous. But I have picked since the summer, all year long, Bryant versus Conway for the state championship in front of 35,000 people at War Memorial Stadium on December the 7th. I don't think that's going to change, especially, yes, you're right, Grayson Wilson is going to play in this game. But I tell you, this is the game that I will be keeping my eyes on all night to kind of see the updates and see how it's going. But I do think Conway, and the advantage is Conway playing at home, does win.
All right. And finally, boy, this has been a marathon of picks here. It's been fun, though.
Yes.
Class 7A, Northwest Arkansas game of the week. We've got Pulaski Academy at Fayetteville. And boys, I've seen Pulaski Academy, saw them at Pulaski Academy a couple of years ago. That's a different place. But, boys, Fayetteville is a different place, too. Ring the bell. Fayetteville Bulldogs going to get this win. Leland, who you got in this one?
You know, I said I was going to be keeping my eyes on that Conway-Rogers game. I may peek occasionally, too, at the Pulaski Academy Fayetteville game, too, because this is going to be a blockbuster game. You know, I just had this feeling since I saw the brackets and the possibilities of what might happen a few weeks ago. I think PA and their onside kicks may make a difference at Fayetteville.
Oh, wow. So you're taking Anthony Lucas and the Bruins.
He did pretty well in the past at Fayetteville.
He sure did, didn't he? All right, Rick's pick. Who you got, Rick?
You know what? This is going to be a fun game for Fayetteville fans. This is a team that they don't normally see. PA's made the advancements up the ladder as far as classification, but I think in the end, Fayetteville wins this game at home against PA.
Rick Fires going with Fayetteville as well. So two of us taking Fayetteville and Leland going PA. I was talking to Casey Dick yesterday, and he said all last week they had very deliberate practice sessions working on those onside kicks. And I kind of reminded him, I was like, you know, well, hey, if y'all ever have to execute one and recover, at least you've worked on it quite a bit. So I'm sure the kicker, Nathan Cockle, has had a lot of fun in the last week with all these onside kicks. Rick?
Yeah, you know what? That's a skill right there. I remember you got to be on they call it the hands team for something. You can't flop on the football then roll over and let the kicking team recover it. So I can see why they're working on that a lot.
And like Leland said, the 2-point conversions, it's a game changer.
Yep.
So, all right, guys. Well, guys, we're busy. We got to roll. It's
Leland.
For Leland, for Rick Fires, this wraps up this week's episode of Prep Rally. I'd like to thank our sponsor, West Termite Pest and Lawn. It's Graham Thomas signing out. We love you.